Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another Going with God video. Today we're going to be answering the question, what does God's love entail? So we see in a lot of places in the Bible that God has a lot of love for us. Places like Romans chapter 5 verse 5, Deuteronomy chapter 23 verse 5. But the problem is many people are actually unable to see how God really loves them because they feel that God isn't currently doing enough for them right now. But this video aims to try to change our perspective and see God's love in places in our lives that we might not have seen before. So, how does God love us? Well, one big way God shows his love is by providing for us. And, this is something that many people take for granted. God provides when there's hunger, famine, financial hardship, things like this. And we even see an example of God providing in situations like this in 2 Kings chapter 4, where, with the power of God, Elisha was able to multiply a woman's oil enough for her to use it to pay off her debt. And then Elijah, another prophet of God, himself was also provided by God. If we read 1 Kings chapter 17, where he was fed by ravens. So the point is, God will never forsake his children. As we see in Psalms chapter 37 verse 25, and this verse reads, I've been young, and now I am old, yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Plus, God's love also spurs him to protect his children as well, if we read Psalms chapter 37 verse 4. And a great example of how God's protection played out in the scriptures was when God protected King Hezekiah from the Syrian army trying to, invade Israel. We see this in Isaiah chapter 36 and 37. So this shows us that there are many dangers that could have happened to us that we might not have even known about them because God had protected us from those dangers, and we must thank God for that. And another way God shows his love is by disciplining us. God can put us through certain things just simply as a show of love, just as a loving father would do. If we read Hebrews chapter 12 verses 6 to 7 and Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 5. And that Hebrews account reads, For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? And an example where God had actually done this is with the Israelites, where, he put them through some really hard stuff in the wilderness so that they could be able to do God's work in the way that he wanted them to do it. So thus, if you want to get benefit from this chastening that God gives us, we have to endure chastening and never give up on God. And plus, God will never even allow a temptation that we can't handle to enter our lives, as St. Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 13. This verse reads, There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that you are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. So if we are going through tough times in our lives, we should be like Job, who never gave up on God during hard times. And plus, God also gives us mercy as well. When we make mistakes and we are repentant, God can also forgive us out of love and mercy. As you see in Psalms chapter 130 verses 3 and 4, where it says, If thou, Lord, shouldest mark iniquities, O Lord, who shall stand? But there is forgiveness with thee, that thou mayest be feared. And he forgives us because he wants people to come to him, as this is what really brings him joy. If we read Luke chapter 15 verse 7. But I think the biggest show of love is the ransom sacrifice that God gave to us. Because, humanity needed a ransom in order to be reconciled to God and live righteously, if we read Job chapter 33 verses 21 to 24. And in order for this to happen, God decided to give his son as the ransom, his only begotten son. We see this in John chapter 3 verse 16, where it says, For God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son. For whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This shows a huge amount of love, because we didn't pray for it, or please God, or pay him in order to do this. He just did it out of his own love, if you read 1 John chapter 4 verse 10. And finally, another way God shows his love is with vision. Because when God loves somebody, he makes him known to them by them diligently studying him, as we are advised to do in 2 Timothy chapter 2 verse 15 and Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. And based on that, he will give them vision so that they can actually understand what God is doing in their lives. And we see him doing this with people like Abraham in Genesis chapter 18 verses 17 to 19, where he told them what he was actually doing. So now that we know what God is doing in our lives, or doing for us, what I advise we do is that we should make the best of the opportunities that God is giving us. Use our wisdom or use our provisions to please God. Because this is the purpose for God creating us in the first place. If we read Isaiah chapter 43 verse 21. But I think I can stop here on answering that question. What does God's love entail? If you have enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you'll know when new Growing with God videos are uploaded to the channel. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.